Hi, everybody, and happy Maca Monday. Yes, we are back again today. Okay, so if you guys have been tuning in every Monday and Friday at 7 p.m., then you'll know that we've been going over some chess, just the basics pretty much. We've been over thus far, we have been over the board, all of the pieces, how all the pieces move. Um, and we've been over so much I can't even remember. Okay, so the board, the pieces. Oh, some openings. We've been over castling, en passant, CPR. So, y'all, if you guys have not already checked those videos out, please, please, please be sure to check our YouTube channel and be sure to tune in here at 7 p.m. every Monday and Friday, Mountain Standard Time, okay? Once again, that is Mondays and Fridays at 7 o'clock p.m., okay? And so yeah, like I said, if you guys aren't up to date though with everything, definitely check out the YouTube channel. They're listening episodes so that they should be easy to follow. And yeah, like I said, just you guys don't want to miss this because we're here at Macam, we all about chess. So you guys have to, what I'm saying, if you support Macam, you gotta support us in all aspects. Okay, so y'all gotta learn how to play chess so that if somebody come up to you like, man, you know how to play chess? Like, yeah, I know how to play chess. But okay, so like I said, we've been over the board, the pieces, pretty much all the basics. So I will go over, like I like to catch you guys up pretty much every time, just in case you guys haven't watched the previous videos or been on for our previous lessons. So I'm going to show you guys, just the pieces really quickly. I'm going to tell you guys the names of those pieces and how they move. But other than that, if y'all want all the, the real deal, check our YouTube channel, okay? So let me go ahead and just share this screen real quick. Okay. I hope you guys can see this. Okay, yeah, y'all can. Okay, so once again, if y'all were here last Friday, y'all would know that we went over the Sicilian defense, the French defense, Roy Lopez opening. We've been over quite a few of these, okay? So today we're going to go over okay, so as you guys can see, these are E4 and then D4. Last Friday, we pretty much focused strictly on E4. Now, you guys might be like, okay, what's so important about E4 and D4? Glad you guys were wondering that. But, okay, so E4, so E4, D4, E5, D5, sorry. E4 and D4, and then E5 and D5. There we go. So those are the four center squares of the board, okay? Now, if you control those squares of the board, you control the entire game. So at that point, once you control those four squares, the game is pretty much in your hands. So I'm teaching you guys how to open the game, or for lack of better terms, to start the game of chess. That way that you can already have, one up on your opponent. Not in a literal sense because, not points, but I'm just saying you'll have the intuition, you'll know. So, we did go over the Queen's Gambit last week, though. So, we're going to start with the Slav defense. I really hope that's how you pronounce that. Oh, and before I really get started with this, I just want to say happy Black History Month to everybody out there, to all our Black people out there. And yeah, I just want to make an announcement about that real quick just before we get started. But okay, so yeah, now we can actually officially get started. And once again, just remember, y'all, each chess game begins and ends with a handshake. Now, since I am playing on the computer against a computer, we're not going to do a handshake, but yeah. Also, we might be having a special guest for you guys on Friday. So definitely tune in because y'all don't want to miss that. So yeah, but okay, that's enough of the talk. Let's just go ahead and get started. So first, real quick, these are the pawns, okay? Then you have your rook, your knight, your bishop, queen, king, bishop, knight, rook, okay? So go ahead and get started. The pawn on D2 moves from D2 to D4, okay? Oh, hold on. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm skipping everything. Okay, so this, once again, is called the Slav defense. So I'm going to read you guys the description, the origin, and things like that, and then we'll go over the pros and the cons afterwards, okay? So let me just go ahead and move this backwards so that we can just have a fresh start when we start. Okay. With the Slav defense, Black supports his attacked D5 pawn with the C pawn, okay? This way, he is able to recapture on d5 with the pawn, maintaining a strong central point, while he also avoids blocking in the queen's bishop. Okay, sounds pretty strategic to me. So, okay, let's go ahead and hide this again. Okay, so now let's get started for real this time. So, the pawn on d2, white's pawn on d2 moves from d2 to d4. Okay, easy enough. Then black's pawn on d7 moves from d7 to d5. Okay, now the white's pawn on c2 moves to c4. Then black's pawn moves from c7 to c6, okay? And this shows right here, avoiding blocking in the queen's bishop, as you can see right here, okay? Is that the end? Okay, so yeah. Now I'm gonna go ahead and read this description again so that we can fully understand it now that we've seen the simulation. So, with the slab defense, black supports his attack d5 pawn, okay? And so you guys can see that this pawn, this white pawn right here on c4 is definitely attacking the pawn on d5, simply because pawns attack diagonally, okay? So once you see, pawns lined up like that, that's an attack, okay? So black supports his attacked d5 pawn with the c pawn. Okay, we see that. This way he is able to recapture on d5 with the pawn. Okay, okay, let me see. This way he is able to recapture on d5 with the pawn. d5 right there. Okay, so let's say, I don't think that this is going to let me move it. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't think it's going to let me move it. I don't know why it don't let me move it. That is so annoying. Okay, well, yeah, y'all, let me just follow along with the letters and stuff, the names, okay? So if, hold on. Okay, yeah. So if this pawn on c4 decides to take the pawn on d5, then this pawn on c6 is therefore, or I'm so sorry. I've been stuttering so hard sometimes. Okay, but so if the pawn on c4 takes the pawn on d5, then the pawn on c6 is now threatening or attacking the pawn on d5. So, or the white pawn, if you guys are following along. I hope you guys are. I know this is a lot of, letters and stuff, but I hope you guys are understanding what I'm saying. Then the pawn on c6 is able to attack the pawn on d5, okay? And like I said, I would show you guys, but since this is an already made example, I can't, move the pieces or whatever. Okay, so the pros. The bishop on c8 is not impeded, okay? Black maintains a solid central point, which it does because it is backed up. Now, with this piece, these pieces aren't protecting each other in any way, shape, or form. But this pawn right here, and honestly, these two pieces are protected, okay? Because the pawn on d5 is protected by the pawn on c6, and the pawn on c6 is protected by the pawn on b7, okay? So you guys went, and like I said, even with castling, you always, 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 I cannot stress this enough, you guys want to always make sure that your pieces are protected. It doesn't matter, even if it's the smallest of move, you want to have your pawn or your pieces protected, okay? And so when we were going over last week, when we went over how to quickly win a game of chess, you guys, if you guys remember anyways, you would see, that move wouldn't work if the queen wasn't protected by the bishop, okay? So just make sure that you always have your pieces protected, okay? And also with that being a strong central point, since the pieces are protected, it's still all helping protect the center four squares, okay? So, okay, and then another pro is the c4 pawn might soon be attacked, okay? So the c4 pawn right here, it can definitely, be attacked. Okay, now the cons. So black's development is slower, which that makes sense because it does kind of have, a shield to a certain extent. Okay, so that makes sense. Hitting back with c5 will lose a move. That's true as well. Okay, the c6 square is blocked for the knight. Okay, so c6. And as you guys remember, knights move in L or 7 shapes. Okay, so that would be 1, 2 right here. This square is blocked because of where the pawn is. Okay. Now, looking at the statistics, the percent chance that white would win this game, simply based off the opening, is a 39.2%. Okay. Now, the percent chance of a draw is a 40%, and the percent chance of black winning is a 20.9%. Okay. So, it's still a little bit it's a higher percent chance for for white to win, but it still does have pros for black, simply because it is protecting their pieces. And so I guess you can use this more of a strategy. Just remembering in the game of chess, like, okay, let me make sure that my pieces are protected. So yeah. And also, like I was saying, we might have a guest. We might have a guest on Friday. However, if you guys want to be, special guests, or if you guys want to play a game you don't even have to, because I can have people on here with me, or if you guys want to simply play me by yourselves, without an audience or with an audience, however you guys want to do it, just let me know. And, I will send you guys my chess.com information so that we can play a game, or however you guys want to go about it. But just if you guys want to do that or are interested in it, just let me know. Okay, so now we can go into the King's Indian defense. Okay, and if you guys remember, I'm pretty sure we went over last week, I'm pretty sure that chess was invented, invented in the 6th century. So this is definitely an old game, so there are definitely routines and stuff like that to follow to have the best possible outcome. Okay, so, like I said, the name of this one is the King's Indian Defense. Okay, so the King's Indian Defense is a hyper-modern defense, which involves the fianchetto, I guess, of the Black King's Bishop combined with d6, not d5. Black allows White to build a strong pawn center and then later hits back with moves such as e5 or c5. Okay, now that was a lot. So we're gonna go ahead and just see, how it's played out, and then we can go into, rereading it and understanding it more. Okay. So once again, white's pawn on d2 moves from d2 to d4. Okay. Then, okay, this is definitely a different strategy. Black's knight on, hold on, let me move this real. See, I don't really know what be going on because I did not move all the pieces. Okay, so then Black's knight on G8 moves from G8 to F6. Okay, so now White's pawn on C2 moves to C4. And then Black's pawn on G7 moves to G6. And that's the end of the representator. I can't never think of that word. It starts with a D. Whatever. That's the end of the I cannot think of the word, but that's the end of the display, I guess I could say. So the king, I'm gonna reread the description again and then try to, break it down so that we can understand it. So the King's Indian defense is a hyper-modern defense, which involves the fianchetto of the Black King's Bishop. Okay, so right, really, really fast, I gotta look this up simply because I'm trying to see if that is, well, I guess I can look it up on the computer so that we can all see it. So let me just go ahead and control that. Okay, so the development of a bishop by moving it on one square to a long diagonal. Okay, I'm trying to see if this is, I guess it is English because it's not saying, otherwise. I won't have it play the pronunciation or whatever. But okay, so it's pretty much the development of a bishop by moving it one square to a long diagonal board, or to a long diagonal of the board. Okay. So, and let me see. Okay, so it does open up the bishop right here to be able to do that. Okay. So let's start over. The King's Indian defense is a hypermodern defense which involves the fianchetto of the Black King's Bishop. Oh, the Black King's Bishop. Okay, so it does have the ability to move here from F8 to H6. Okay, combined with D6. D6 is right there. D6 is right here. Okay. Combined with D6, not D5. Black allows white to build a strong pawn center, okay, and then later hits back with moves such as e5. E5 is right here, or c5, which is right there. Okay. To me, this was a little confusing, kind of. But yeah, I'm gonna finish reading the pros and the cons, and then I'm gonna start it over just so I can, try to explain it and make the best of it again. Okay, so pros. It's a sharp opening. It leads to fascinating positions. Black often gets attacked. Black often gets attacked against the white king. Black often gets attacked. Okay. And then the cons are white usually gets a space disadvantage or a space advantage. Typically, white gets strong pressure on the queen side, and then there are decent responses for every style of player. Okay. And then the percent chance of white winning this game would be a 40.8. A percent chance of a draw is a 31.6, and then the percent chance of black winning would be 27.6. Okay, so let's just start it over. Go ahead and go back again so that we can, try to make the best of this and understand it more. So, okay, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so white's pawn on d2 moves from d2 to d4. Black's knight moves from g8 to f6. Okay, and then white's pawn on c2 moves from c2 to c4. And then black's pawn on g7 moves to g6. Okay. And so then it says that the it makes the fianchetto. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong, y'all, but it makes the fianchetto of the black king's bishop. Okay. So the black king is right here. The black king's bishop is right next to it. And so as you guys can see, the only place that the bishop can go is right here. Okay. Combined with d6. So d6. Okay, so it would be able to move there if this if this pawn wasn't there, the pawn on e7, it would be able to have, that access. Okay. And not d5. Of course, it's not d5 because d5 is a white square, and we're talking about a black bishop or a black bishop on a black square. And if you guys remember, like I said previously, I don't know what episode it was, but previously, you cannot have two bishops on the same color. Unless you have done pawn promotion and saying that this is the beginning of the game, we definitely haven't done pawn promotion just yet. So, black allows white to build a strong pawn center. Okay. It has, there is a pawn in the center, so yes, and then later hits back with moves such as e5 or c5. Okay, so e5 would be right here, and then c5 just right here. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. You just have to kind of break it down a little bit more. Okay, so that was the Slav defense and the King's Indian defense. And once again, we went over the Queen's Gambit last Friday. So if you guys want to see that, definitely go check our YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure that was the 3rd episode because I'm pretty sure this is the 4th. But yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure it was the 3rd episode though. So now we're going to go into the Nimzo Indian defense. Whew, I'm sorry, y'all, if I'm butchering these names. I'm trying so hard. But okay, this time we're going to do something different. We're going to flip the board, and I'm going to be black rather than playing against the black computer. Or, you know what I mean. Okay, so the Nimzo Indian defense was worked out by Aaron Nimzo with I am not okay. I don't know. We're just gonna say Aaron N because I'm not too sure on how to pronounce that. So the Nimzo Indian defense was worked out by Aaron N and played a role in his conception of the center. Each of Black's moves is directed at controlling the d5 and e4 squares with the pieces rather than the pawns. The key move, 3 bishop b4, pins the white knight on c3 and defines the Nimzo Indian. Okay, so remember, guys, controlling the middle of the board, the middle 4 squares, which is once again d4, d5, e4, and e5, very important because it lets you control the entire game. Okay, why wouldn't y'all want to have y'all's hands on the entire game if you're controlling the center of the board? Especially if you are a competitive person, or if you even what I'm trying to say. So okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So once again, white moves first. So white's pawn on d2 is going to move from d2 to d4. Then hold on. Then I did not mean to press play. I need to go back. Okay, so then our knight on G8 is going to move from G8 to F6. Okay, so remember, and you guys can look at it two different ways. It can go 1, 2 squares up and then 1 square to the right, or 1 square up and then 2 squares to technically to the left, because if we're facing this way and then turning that way, that'd be the left. Okay, so now we're on from G8 to F6. Okay, now white's pawn is going to move from C2 to C4. And then our pawn is going to move um, from E7 to E6. And I'm pretty, oh no, that's not it. Okay. So then white's knight is going to move from B1 to C3. Okay. And then our bishop is going to move from F8 to B4. Okay, and then that's it. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and read this description again. And like I said last Friday, y'all, I really do be trying to slow down because I know that I talk fast. So I'm just please bear with me because I'm trying to slow down how I talk because I know that at times if I need to talk really fast, I can talk really fast. But if I need to slow it down, that's when I have like issues because I don't know. I'm a pretty argumentative person. So if I really need to, I can make sure that I get what I need to get out. So like in high school and everything, I've always wanted to be. Well, I'm saying in high school, like I'm not still in high school, but I'm a senior, so it's still a little different. But I've always wanted to be in like them speech and debate, or is that what it's called? Speech and debate. I think that's what it's called. But our school never had one. We only had like mock trials and stuff. But I know I was definitely I I was in mock trial once, which was freshman year, and it was really really fun. I just didn't really have the determination to do it because I wanted. I'm sorry, I'm going off. I'm gonna tell y'all this story real quick, and then I'm gonna go back to playing chess. But I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a family court lawyer. Dealing with like divorce and custody issues and things like that. But then, like so I was like, okay, let me go ahead and do my trial. It's pretty much a hands-on thing, and yes, it is fun, and I would still like to do it. But then I realized, like, one, you have to know the case like the back of your hand because, like, we had, like little mock trials or whatever. That's what it's called. And so, we had to know, like, if our witness was lying, like, you had to make sure, like, no, Your Honor, because we had like a fake judge and everything. Like, no, Your Honor, that's this, that's this. You have to know all the objections. Like, it was real, but it was really, really fun. Don't get me wrong. It was really, really fun. It's just you have to know that case because then I realized, like, let's say I didn't remember something or I didn't study something as much as I could have, or anything like that, and then I end up losing the case because of me. And then my patient, or not my patients, my what are them called? My I don't want to say, y'all know what, I can't remember what you would call them, but my people, the people that you help out, um, now they're, going through this because of me, and I'm like, okay, it's kind of a lot. So now, and when I tell y'all what I want to be now, y'all gonna be like, but like that's the same thing. I want to be a nurse. But to me, that's it's a little bit easier, a little bit. But honestly, I've always, even since I was younger, I've always wanted to, help other people, regardless of what it is. When I was really like, I'll say like 10 through probably like 12, somewhere around there, I wanted to have an orphanage. But y'all, when I tell y'all, I was drawing out like how the rooms would be. I literally have plans for everything that I wanted to do. I've always wanted to help other people. When I was younger, I wanted to be a teacher, a chef. Now, a chef, that was kind of just something quick. But, everything else, I've always wanted to help people. And so, but yeah, that's here nor there, neither here nor there, but okay. So the Nimzo Indian defense was worked out by Aaron N. and played a role in his conception of the center. Each of Black's moves is directed at controlling the D5 and E4 squares. Okay, now, I do see that to a certain extent. My only thing is B4, which with this uh oh nope, I see it. Okay, I'm gonna tell you, I see it. Okay, so he moved the bishop from F8 to B4 simply because this knight is right here. Okay, Now, knights move in L or 7 shape. So with that being said, this knight is attacking E4 and it's also attacking D5 simply because of its placement. So now this bishop is coming and threatening that knight. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so okay, I see it now. And then the bishop, okay. The knight, I'm sorry, y'all, these pieces have me tongue tied sometimes. But the knight is attacking, our black knight is attacking D5 as well as E4. Okay. So, that's good. And then also we have the pawn right here on E6 defending D5. Okay. So yeah. Um, Let me see, rather than with the pawn. I'm gonna just read that part again. Each of black's move is directed at controlling the D5 and E4 squares, okay, with the pieces rather than the pawns, okay? And so that is true. There is one pawn protecting, but most of them are the more powerful pieces. Okay. So the key move 3, so the third move, I'm assuming that means the black bishop to B4, pins the white knight on C3, okay, C3, and defines the Nimzo Indian, okay? So literally just how I explained it is what it's doing, okay? So pros, it is positionally sound. Another one is it leads to rich positions. Another pro, the final pro, is black develops rapidly, which is true. It's easy to get their pieces out. They can castle right now because of, the rest of their pieces are out of the way. Okay. Now cons, and this is how y'all know that this is a good, strategy because there's only two cons. So the first con is white might get the two bishops. Okay, let me see. White might get the two bishops. I can see potentially it taking one. But okay, so then that's that. And then white can try to conquer the center, which it can with that knight right there still. It still could easily just say, oh, no, it can't. It can't move because of where the bishop is. But still, it still can't. It's gonna if they need to, they'll find ways to control the center. But me personally, this is probably one of my favorites. I'm gonna definitely have to study it a few more times so that I can master it. But I definitely do like this opening because of like all the moves are planned out. I like it. Okay, so percent chance of white winning is 35.2. Percent chance of a draw is a 34.9. And then the percent chance of black winning is a 29.9. Okay, so once again, it's geared more a little bit towards white winning. But I think it's still pretty good. Let's flip the board just so we can see it from this side. And I guess I can, show you guys the whole thing again from white's point of view. Okay, so first move, white's pawn on D2 moves from D2 to D4. And then the black knight on on G8 moves from G8 to F6. And then, okay, so then the pawn on C2 moves from C2 to C4. Then the black pawn on E7 moves from E7 to E6. The knight on B1 moves from B1 to C3. And then the black bishop on F8 moves to B4. Okay, so then that's that. Now let me see. Okay, so once again, that's the Nimzo Indian defense. And y'all, once again, I kind of am now trying to steer away from going over, because at first I'll be like, okay, you know what? I went over this. Let me go over everything again, and I'll do that a few times throughout the stream or whatever. But I'm trying to kind of stay away from that because, we are recording it. So it's kind of like a waste of time to a certain extent. I'm not saying that I won't do it again, but I'm just saying, I'm not going to be doing it as often. So if you guys are missing anything or feel like you miss anything, or, if I'm going too fast or anything, be sure to check out our Macam channel. I cannot stress this to you guys enough. Once you guys look at our channel, you're like, wow, they have everything on here. Y'all, we have story times from, our guests on our virtual artist storytelling. We have podcasts. I'm telling y'all, we have it all. So if you guys are interested, if you have nothing else to do, if you want to just have something to listen to while you're doing your homework, while you're doing, anything, just check out our Malcolm channel. Okay. So, or some of y'all might be older, so you might not be doing homework, but anything. If you just want to listen, check in, any of that, check our YouTube channel. Okay. So now we're going to go into the Queen's Indian defense, okay? All right. Start it over. Go ahead and get started. So, the Queen's Indian defense is half of Aaron M's conception of the center, the other half the other half being the Nimzo Indian. White refuses to allow the pin bishop to b4 by playing 3, the knight to f3, and Black responds by fianchetting, fianchetting the Queen's bishop, thus fighting for control of the center from a distance. Okay, sounds pretty interesting. Okay. So now the white's pawn on d2 moves from d2 to d4. And if you guys have noticed, most of these openings open with the pawns moving 2 squares up. I haven't really seen too many where, other than the first one, I don't remember what it's called, but the first one but it was only moving up 1 square to protect the other one. So I don't even know if that really counts for real, but. So, the white pawn on d2 moves from d2 to d4. Then Black's knight moves from g8 to f6. Okay. Then after that, we have white's pawn on c2 moving from c2 to c4. Then the black pawn moving from e7 to e6. And then white's knight moving from g1 to f3. And then we have black's pawn moving from b7 to b6. Okay, now that's that. So let's go ahead and read this description once again. The Queen's Indian is half of Aaron M's conception of the center, the other half being the Nimzo Indian. White refuses to allow the pin bishop to b4 by playing 3, the knight to f3, and Black responds by fianchetting the Queen's bishop, thus fighting for control of the center from a distance. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let this play because I got to hear if I'm saying it right. So let me turn the computer down because y'all will hear it. Okay. And I don't want it to be too loud, so let's see. Fianchetto. So fianchettoing. That's a long word. Let me see. I'm gonna look it up just so that we can see how to. Oh, it's still gonna say fianchetto. Okay. Fianchetto. Okay. Sorry, girl. I just want to make sure that I wasn't saying it wrong. Most likely I'm gonna still say it wrong. Fianchetto. Fianchettoing. Okay. So the pros of this are Black avoids weaknesses. It's a fluid piece play. It's flexible. And then the cons are it's drawish, okay? And if you guys are a little bit ahead of me, you can look at these statistics and see that there's a higher percent chance of a draw. White can maintain a space advantage. Also, the bishop to b7 can sometimes be shut out by d4 to d5. Okay. So, the bishop to b7. Okay. All right, so now looking at the percent chance of winning. White's percent chance of winning is a 34.7. Black's percent chance of winning is a 25.5, and then a percent chance of a draw is 40.1. So as you can see, it's a higher percent chance for a draw to occur rather than anything else. But then coming up is white percent chance of winning. So yeah. And me personally, and some people get mad at me or, feel some type of way when I say I personally like to play as white simply because it's easy, to me unfortunately, it's a little bit easier strictly because you are able to move first. And I feel like, that first move is important. So, but I mean, I don't know. Actually, matter of fact, just so that we can have some dialogue, can y'all please comment, what, color you guys would prefer to start with or something, because y'all don't be saying nothing and I be having to carry these conversations and it be hard because y'all don't ever say anything. Y'all don't be, let me see, maybe let me go back to the screen real quick. Let me stop screen sharing so that y'all don't see. I ain't got no comments. I don't have nothing. Y'all don't be saying nothing. So yeah, if y'all want to, please just comment your favorite color to start on, or anything like that. But okay, let's go ahead and get back started, or get started. I don't know how I say that. Get started again, whatever. Okay, so that was the Queen's Indian defense. Now we're going to go to, oh, and we have other, okay, cool. Okay, so the Queen's Indian defense. Now we're going to go into the BOGO Indian defense. And we're going to start this over. Okay, so the BOGO Indian defense. The BOGO Indian defense, named for Ethem, oh my gosh, y'all, these names. Named for Ethem Bogolib, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. So the BOGO Indian defense, named for that person, develops the king side quickly and seeks to fight for central squares in a less direct manner, not using the pawns immediately. Okay. I want to see what they look like, so I'm just gonna. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm very curious to a certain extent. I like to see what I'm looking at or talking about. So, okay, that's what he looks like. Okay, nothing. I just want to see what he looks like. Okay. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So white moves from D2 to D4. Then black's knight moves from G8 to F6. Then white's pawn moves from C2 to C4. Black's pawn moves from E7 to E6. And then our knight, the white knight, moves from G1 to F3. Then black's bishop moves from F8 to B4. Okay, so let's read this again. The BOGO Indian defense develops the king side quickly. Okay, yes. And as you can see, it develops it quickly so that you can castle. And seeks to fight for central squares in a less direct manner, not using the pawns immediately. Okay. So, the only thing that I can see is this knight right here. But there's two knights that are, protecting these squares, right? Okay. So, pros are it is a fairly simple way to play, or it's fairly simple play. Sorry, it's fairly simple to play. It is strategic and sound, and it's not very theoretical. Okay. The cons are white can sometimes get the two bishops. White often maintains a space advantage, and it's not very sharp. I wonder what they mean by not very sharp. Because how you gonna say it's strategic and sound, but then it's not very sharp? But we'll dive into it a little bit more in a second. Okay. Sorry, y'all, if my voice sounds kind of, I don't know, when like talking a lot, I don't know, it's messing me up. But okay, so the percent chance of white winning is a 37.5. The percent chance of a draw is 38.6. And then the percent chance of black winning is 23.9. So once again, more geared toward white winning. I'm gonna try to find some that are more geared towards black winning, but I don't know. I don't know if it's harder. I literally thought about this last time. These are white's openings, so of course to a certain extent you can't really. I don't know how to explain it to you. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and read this description again, and then let's see. So the BOGO Indian defense develops the king side quickly once again, as you guys can see. This I can't scroll up no more, but this is the king side. The king side can castle, has that protection and all of that, and seeks to fight for central squares with the knights in a less direct manner, not using the pawns immediately. Let's see, because I'm pretty sure that the knight came out. Yep, the knight came out first. I'm trying to see if the black knight came out first. He definitely came out first. Then the pawn came. So yeah, not using the pawns immediately, but still having them there as a method of defense. So yeah, I like this one too. Okay. So y'all, we have went over the Slav defense, King's Indian defense, the Nimzo Indian defense, the Queen's Indian defense, the BOGO Indian. Y'all, we done went over a lot. So now, hopefully we should be able to, I think we should be able to finish. I don't know if we'll be able to finish all of these out by the end of by 8 o'clock, but we'll try. And yeah, just once again, y'all, please tune in. Please, ask me questions. literally say anything. You could tell me about your dog if you want to, but just, have that communication. Well, I can honestly, and like I said, y'all, I'm a senior in high school, so I'm still in school. But, when my teachers be like, oh, y'all, it's hard to talk when y'all not saying anything. And I just be like, man, if you don't just teach the lesson, but it is kind of a little like, are they listening? Can they hear me? Like, So if y'all want to, and I definitely encourage y'all, please say something. But okay, so the description, the Gruenfeld, I think, defense combines a fianchetto of the king bishop with d5. This pawn will generally be traded off, and the struggle will be between white's strong pawn center and black's piece pressure. Okay, so white's pawn on d2 moves from d4. Black's knight moves from g8 to f6. Then the white pawn on c2 moves from c2 to c4. Black's pawn black's pawn on g7 moves from g7 to g6. Then white's knight on b1 moves from b1 to c3. Then black's pawn moves from d7 to d5, and then that's that. Okay, so let's read it again. Sorry, y'all, my voice is getting raspy. Oh. But I'm telling you, like, when with talking like this, I'm gonna start having to bring me some water or something, because I can't do this. This is not for me. This talking stuff is not for me. I don't know. I talk a lot, but only when I'm having a conversation. So, like, talking to myself, I'm having literally a conversation with myself. So I'm talking double time. This ain't, I don't know. It's hard. But okay. So the Gruenfeld. Oh, I think I wasn't even saying Gruenfeld. I don't know what I was saying. But the Gruenfeld defense combines a fianchetto of the king bishop with d5. Okay, so d5, let's look at that real quick. D5 is right here. The king bishop, d5. Okay, wait. King bishop, d5, d5. Sorry, I'm just trying to see because these be kind of confusing sometimes. Um, but okay. Um, this pawn will generally be traded off. Okay, because I was looking at that too. So this pawn will generally be traded off right here. Okay, that makes sense. And the struggle will be between white's strong pawn center and black's piece pressure. Okay, yep, because the pawn is going to be right there, and then the knight can. Okay, makes sense. Okay. Pros. It is a very active defense. Black only has to knock down, not build up. Okay. It's unbalancing. Okay. And that's true because, taking a pawn versus taking a knight, it's not equal. Now, the cons are one con is white's strong center. The second con is white's space advantage, and then the third con is it's a very theoretical opening. So now the percent chance of white winning is a 36.3. The percent chance of a draw is a 36.8, and the chance of black winning is a 26.9. Okay, so that was that one. Honestly, I think we will be able to knock out those last, I think, 4 now. Oh no, last 5. Okay. Let's see. What? First of all, nobody said to move. But okay. So the Dutch defense might look like a reverse version of the Sicilian, since both moves use a wing pawn to mechanically prevent the creation of the perfect pawn center by white. But due to the king's positions, the Dutch is very different. Okay. So one, F5 gains space on the king side at the expense of some weaknesses. Okay. I think this was only 2 moves too. Yep, 2 moves. Okay. So white moves from d2 to d4, and then black moves from f7 to f5. Okay, so reading the description again, the Dutch defense might look like a reverse version of the Sicilian, which would be sorry, e4 to 1 e4 c5. c5. Okay. Since both moves use a wing pawn to mechanically prevent the creation of the perfect pawn center by white. But due to the king's positions, the Dutch is very different. 1 f5. Okay, um okay, if you guys are following along, f5 is right here where this black pawn is. Sorry, I'll be having all this the hair on my face, but okay, so f5 gains space on the king side. Okay, right here. At the expense of some weakness, and with the weakness comes, it's pretty much right here. If something, let's say this bishop is it on? No, it's on a white square. Okay, but let's say that something came, right here, anywhere. It has direct access to the king. If you guys can see that. Okay, so the pros are it's aggressive, it's unbalancing, and black controls e4 while leaving the center pawns flexible. And then the cons are it weakens the king's position. Whew. Sorry, y'all. This is becoming every stream thing now. Okay. Another con is it might leave holes in the center after a later d6 or d5, and then it potentially blocks the light squared bishop. Okay, so with the light square bishop, let's see here. You say potentially, yeah, potentially blocks. So light squared, this one. Okay, so all right, now that's that one. This one once again was called the Dutch defense. So now we're going to go to the next one. Oh wait, I went way too far. Which is I am not good at pronouncing these. The Trompowsky attack. Okay. So let's see. Okay. Let me go back. One of the less usual queen's pawn openings, the Trompowsky immediately develops the bishop to an active spot with the intention, usually, to capture on f6 and double back on black's pawns. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and get started. So first move, we're going to go from d2 to d4. White's pawn is going to go from d2 to d4. Then black's knight is going to move from g8 to f6. Now, after that, white's bishop is going to move from c1 to g5. Okay, and that's it. So let's go ahead and read this description once again. It's one of the less usual queen pawns opening. Okay, this is the queen's pawn right here because it's right in front of the queen on the queen side of the board. Let me see. The Trompowsky immediately develops the bishop to an active spot, which is true. Okay, it has pretty much its own little spot right there. And then with the intention usually to capture on f6 and double black's pawn with the intention to capture on f6. Where's f6? Let's see, y'all. F6 is right here. Okay, yep. Can capture right there. And double black's pawns. Okay, with the intention to... I get everything else it's saying, but the double black pawn part is throwing me off a little bit. But okay, let's get into these pros and cons, and then we might be able to see it more. So, pros are it's aggressive, and it leads to an original play. It's tricky, which is a pro. Cons are white may have to give up the two bishops. Okay. Black can gain time attacking the bishop on g5. Okay. And then the absence of the bishop may weaken the b2 pawn. b2, it's right there. Okay. Okay, so the percent chance of white winning is a 39.7%. Chance of a draw is a 27.9. And then the percent chance of black winning is a 32.5. Okay. So now, as y'all can see, this one is kind of, it's actually not even too bad on the percent chance of, black and white. It's only a 5% chance. Sorry, it's a 7. I'm sorry. And, that's still, even still, to me, that's not that bad. Honestly, none of these have been, too terrible. But yeah. Just want to throw that out there. But okay, so now keep scrolling too far. Okay, so now we're gonna go. Actually, let's see, because I'm trying to see. Um, let's see. You know what? I'm gonna just finish it off. We only have 10 minutes anyways. I was gonna go into something else because I kind of this isn't getting repetitive because they're all different, but I want to show you guys something different. But there's no point in me starting now with only 10 minutes left. So we're gonna finish these last three off, and then Friday. Oh, and then Friday we got this. Y'all better tune in because we got a special guest. So then Monday, look, we already planning. Y'all better start sleeping. It's like no, okay. But so the Benko Gambit. Okay. Let me go all the way back with this. Okay, the Benko Gambit, sorry, is a special answer to 1d4 in which black sacrifices a pawn right off the bat. If white plays 4cx, I'll be trying to think of what piece that is. Cx. Um, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Cx to b5. Oh, okay. Yeah, y'all gonna see in a second. Okay. Um, then 4. Hold on, let me start over because the Benko Gambit is a special answer to 1d4 in which black sacrifices a pawn right off the bat. If white plays 4cx b5, then 4a6 usually follows. Black hopes that the open a and b files combined with a fianchettoed king bishop will give him great pressure on the queen side. Oh, y'all, be so many words. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So we got the pawn on d2 to d4. Then we have the black's knight on g8 to f6. Okay. Then we have white's pawn on c2 to c4. We have next we have black's pawn on c7 to c5. Wait, did I just say that? I don't know. If I did, I'm sorry. But okay, so then we have white's pawn on d4 to d5. Then we have black's pawn on b7 to b5. Okay, so then that's it. Okay, let's go ahead and reread this. The Benko Gambit is a special answer to 1d4 in which black sacrifices a pawn right off the bat. Okay, Um, if white plays, I'm just gonna skip them because it's kind of confusing. Wait, B5, B5. Okay, so yeah, if white, and that X means that it's being captured, okay? So if this pawn right here is captured by white, then A6 right here usually follows, meaning that the black pawn is going to come right here while the white pawn is still right there. Okay. Black hopes that the open A and B files combined with the fianchettoed king bishop will give him great pressure on the queen side. Okay. So the queen side, let's see. As you can see, it's pretty open, for the queen able to get out. Okay, so the pros are it's a unusual wait. The pros are there are unusual positions as a result. The gambit is considered sound. And the cons are white can decline the gambit in various ways, as well as there are many different ways for responses for white, or there are many different responses for white. And then the last thing is sometimes white can give back the pawn to gain the initiative. Okay. And then we see that up here. Okay. The percent chance of white winning is a 43.6%. Chance of a draw is a 26.2, and the percent chance of black winning is 30.1. Okay, and so with that being said, now this one is kind of higher on the difference. This is 13%, 13.5 to be exact. Um, so yeah, it's pretty, this one's a little tricky, I guess. Okay, and as you can see, there are more cons than pros. So that right there even tells you it might take a little minute to, really get it across. Okay, we're gonna try to power through these last two, y'all, because I don't want to, I want to be able to go into a new segment next week or next Friday. Sorry. or this Friday. But okay, so the London system. The London system is a group of openings which begin in 1d4 with the bishop going to bf, so the bishop to f4. Coming soon after the white abstaining from the move c2 to c4. Let me read that again because I stopped. The London system is I'm reading too fast. The London system is a group of openings which begin with 1d4 with the bishop to f4, coming soon after, and white abstaining from the move c2 to c4. This is a rock solid opening where white develops soundly but modestly. Okay, sounds pretty good. Let's go ahead and get into it. The white pawn on d2 moves from d2 to d4. The black pawn on d7 moves from d7 to d5. The white knight on g1 moves from g1 to f3. The black knight on g8 moves from g8 to f6. And then white's bishop on c1 moves from c1 to f4. And then that's it. Okay. Read this again. The London system is a group of openings which begin with 1d4 with the bishop to f4. Okay, we can see that the bishop's right here. Coming soon after, and white abstaining from the move c2 to c4. c2 to c4. This is a rock-solid opening where white develops soundly but modestly. Okay, as y'all can see, there's a bishop out, there's a knight out. Knights are able to jump over pieces, so that, that doesn't, it's pretty easy. However, the queen has an opening as well. So yeah, definitely does have, it is pretty opening. Or not opening, but it has an opening. Okay, so then the pros are: it's hard for black to get active play, it's difficult for black to avoid, and it's a very sound way of getting a playable middle game. So, if you're playing white, this is your go-to. Cons are: it's a less chance of an attack, it puts little immediate pressure on black, and then the bishop on f4 can be somewhat exposed. Okay, so the percent chance of white winning is a 31.5. The percent chance of a draw is 36.2, and then the percent chance of black winning is a 32.3. So I told y'all wrong. If you are playing black, you might want to go for this strictly because, as y'all can see, black has a higher percent chance of winning than white does. So now with that, we're gonna go ahead and y'all, we made it. We're gonna do this last one, and then that's gonna be it. We might run over a little tad bit. Hopefully, I'm gonna try to keep it as short as possible. Oh, and doesn't even have a description, so okay, cool. All right, so we go from the white pawn on d4 to the white pawn on d2 to d4. Then the black knight on g8 to f6. Then white's pawn moves from c2 to c4. Then we have another pawn moving from c7 to c5. And then, black's pawn now is from c7 to c5. Then white's pawn on d2 moves, hold on, where was it at? Okay, white's pawn on d4 moves to d5. And then black's pawn on e7 moves to e6. And then white's knight moves from b1 to c3. Black's pawn moves from, what did it just take? Okay, as y'all can see, they capture sideways. And I'm looking like, what did it just take? Because it went diagonally. Okay, so black's pawn on e6 moves to d5 and captures. Okay, then also the white pawn on c4 captures the black pawn on d5. Okay, that's another thing. I don't know if I actually said this, but I'm gonna just say it now. When you do take pieces, you now are on that square. Okay, and that's for literally each and every piece. Okay, now black's pawn moves from d7 to d6, and then that's it. Okay, so I wish they did have more of a description. It says modern variation, so white percent chance of winning is a 47.6. So white, if you're playing white, go for this. A percent chance of draw is 22.6, and then the percent chance of black winning is a 29.9. So yeah. Now this is a defense / opening, so however you guys want to look at it. Now let me go ahead and stop screen sharing. Okay, it is 8 o'clock, you guys, and so I just before we end off and everything, I just want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in. And yeah, once again, happy Mac on Monday. I hope you guys have had a great day, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And so yeah, just be sure to tune in on Friday once again, 7 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Sorry, y'all. Yeah, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and I'll be here, and yeah, we can learn a little bit more chess together. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will catch y'all on Friday. Bye.